Hey guys, so it's July 23rd and I'm just about to go into work. I just have a story to tell because yesterday we just got back from Mississippi. We went to go see my husband's grandma because she's had a few episodes where they weren't thinking she was doing too well, but she looked pretty healthy. But we also wanted to go see his uncle who actually was on his deathbed, but then they let him go home because he was able to talk and he was working out okay. His heart was at 10% working, but this was a good opportunity for my husband to like go ahead because Mississippi is probably like 5-6 hours away from us, and it was a good opportunity to have like a moment with them, for my husband to be, just in case it might be one of his last moments with his grandma or his uncle. So we went to go visit them and see how they were doing. um, and we did have a little bit of family time. We got to go out and go to like an arcade, and we went to the theater, watched a movie. We had a little bit of good family time as well. But the reason for the video is the night before we left, we went to go to a buffet at the casino, um, Beau Rivage, and really good buffet. But I guess maybe my husband got sick from there, or maybe he got sick from the Shed, another restaurant we went to. We don't know where he got sick, but he got sick. And all right, sorry about that. So I ended up having to go into work. My coworker showed up, so I'm now on my break. And my story is that so my husband got sick, and he was like vomiting and everything, and just like he was really sick, and he was feeling like he couldn't drive. He was feeling like he couldn't focus, that he was exhausted. So, the thing is, I'm very scared to drive. Like, if you know anything about me, I've even posted a video a long time ago about the first time I had to drive by myself far away. And that was when I got the promotion to be assistant manager. I had to drive to San Antonio, which is a little bit more than 4 hours away from my house. And I was terrified to do that. And I had a little bit of anxiety, and I kind of had a couple of issues. But, they were nothing bad. Like, I didn't get in an accident like I thought it was going to happen. So it went great, and I was proud of myself. And then after that, I thought, well, I can really just drive by myself. And it turns out like I really can't, because I'm still scared to drive anywhere. And that's like outside my comfort zone. So whenever I heard him saying like, oh, I don't think I can drive, I didn't say anything. Normally, I would get like, I don't know, I would react and be like, why can't you drive? I don't know. I feel like I would have said something like really selfish. So in this situation, I was telling him, I was thinking in my head, like, why don't you just, like, this is what I was thinking in my head. This is so selfish. But I was thinking, like, why do guys have to be, like, such crybabies when they're sick? Like, when I'm sick, I still am fully functional. I still do all kinds of things. And I was thinking, like, why can't you just, like, man up and just drive? It's not that hard. Just because you're, like, sick doesn't mean you can't drive. And I was thinking, like, I will have anxiety. Like, would you rather me drive full of anxiety, which would like possibly cause us to get in an accident with our whole family? I was just thinking these things in my head, and I didn't say anything. I just didn't say anything. So he's like, oh, I don't know, I don't feel right. You might have to drive. So I just didn't say anything. And then he's like, let me call my parents, let them know we're on our way. So he calls and says like, hey, I'm about to go home. I just got back from my cousin's, and she didn't have like this thing that he needed to pick up. And so he was talking to them, and he had him on speaker, and he said, his father says, well, you're probably gonna have to get Vanessa to drive. And I was like, no, don't say that. And then his mom gets on the phone, and she's talking, she's like, yeah, well, you're probably gonna have to get Vanessa to drive. And I was like, no, guys, like, stop saying I'm gonna drive. Like, this has nothing to do with you guys. I understand, like, he's sick, but he can drive. And I was just like thinking, like, no, I'm not driving. And I started to like kind of tear up because I was starting to get angry. Like, I don't want to drive. Like, I will have anxiety. I don't want to drive all the way from Mississippi to Texas. Like, no, I'm not driving. I was just getting so frustrated, and I was just like, oh, like I was just getting angry. And then all of a sudden something came over me, and I thought, like, seriously, think about this. You've been wanting God to let you know like what your purpose is, and you finally found out what your purpose is, and you're thinking like, oh, my purpose is going to help me like change like a lot of people's lives in the world. Like, I want to like have people believe in themselves that they can make something of their life. And that doesn't mean I'm going to stay in the little town I live in. Like, how am I going to spread the word if I'm just in my own town? I want to go more than my own town. I want to, like, people to, like, know, like, whenever I was thinking, whenever I found out like what my calling was, I was thinking, yeah, I could be on stages. Like, I could be talking to people about how they can be better than what they're living every day. Like, you don't just have to work every day. You actually have a purpose. And I was thinking, whenever I thought about this, I said, okay, you've been asking God for your purpose. And are you trying to tell me that you're never going to drive outside your little town? Like, you're just going to stay in the little town that you're in and that's it? Like, no, if you're so anxious to serve God and do your purpose, you're going to have to step outside your comfort zone. You're going to have to drive. You're not going to stay in the little town that you're in. And so I was thinking, okay, well, there's this thing, like, God will help you get to where you need to be. And either you can do what he says or you can resist. And if you resist, that doesn't mean you're not going to get to, like, meet your purpose. It just means you're holding yourself back. And so I started to think, okay, if you resist this and you tell him, I really don't feel comfortable driving, I'm too terrified to drive, what's going to happen is he is going to be angry and he's going to throw a fit and he's going to drive crazy. He's going to be making you more stressed out than if you were just driving yourself. Because I know whenever I am a passenger with him, I'm constantly stressed about the way he's driving. I'm always like, oh no, slow down, stop, blah, blah, blah. I'm always commenting on his driving. And I was thinking, whenever you're a driver, you're not doing all that. So either you can go ahead and resist and argue with him, put him in a bad mood and seem very selfish, or you can take this as, hey, I want my husband to be happy that I stepped up to the plate and that he can say, you know what, I was sick and she didn't, like, make me feel bad about it, and she just took over and she did what she had to do. And so I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for that, Vanessa. Like, you're not going to just, like, be selfish. That is, like, one word I used to always hate when I was younger. I used to hate whenever people was like say, like, oh, you're selfish. Like, I am not selfish. Like, that's the last thing I am. I've never been selfish. And then whenever I thought about the things that I was saying, I was thinking, oh my gosh, that is selfish. Like, that is selfish. Not that I used to be that way, but that at this moment I was being selfish. And I was thinking, that is so cruel. Like, you're just so worried about yourself. And, like, I remember thinking, like, the world is bigger than you. Everything is not about you. And if you're just going to put yourself first, then that's not, like, what God intended. He wants you to put others first, you know, like, put other people before yourself. And I was thinking, thank goodness. I'm so blessed that God came into me and he told me, like, don't respond to him. Don't start arguing with him. Just be quiet. And I was quiet. And I thought all the angry thoughts I wanted to think. And then God said, now you have two choices. Now you can either throw a fit about it and make this trip horrible, or you can grow up and then take responsibility and help him. And so I'm so thankful that I did. Like, that is just, like, such a sweet little testimony. I was watching Michael Todd and he was talking about how, like, you should share your testimonies. And your testimony doesn't have to be your whole life. You don't have to tell everybody your big testimony, because sometimes it's scared to tell those things. You know, sometimes you don't want to be judged about those things. But it's okay to share even your littlest testimonies, even your little small day-to-day testimonies. And that was a testimony for me that I had to say that it seemed small, but it was so big because it made such a difference in my day. And I was so proud of myself at the end because I knew that God was with me, and he's like, he will be with you when you think it's hard. And I thought, like, oh no, driving all the way from Mississippi to Texas is gonna be so scary. But it was so easy. I had no anxiety because God was with me and he made it easy for me. And I was just so blessed to, like, have that opportunity to learn something. So I just wanted to share that with you because it really was a great blessing, and I'm so happy that God has spoke through me or spoken to me, because there's a lot of times where I just want to react, and I learned that now you don't have to, like, that you can stop and think before you say anything. And I used to think that you can't just stop and think before you, like, say anything, because words just come out whenever you just react. And now I realize, like, God stops me all the time. He stops me all the time from saying stuff, and he gives me a moment to think about the outcomes of what I'm about to say. So I'm just so thankful, and I wanted to share that story with you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.